Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you may be tuning in from. We're super excited to have you all join us on today's live show. This is MyTake, and it's a place where we come together as girlfriends, as and guy friends. It's for male, it's for female, but it's really an opportunity for us when we connect, we chat about issues, we lend our voices to the things going on around us. And the last two episodes have been amazing. The feedback we've been receiving has been amazing. So I want to thank everyone and to say a huge welcome. With me are the ladies. As you all know, one of the things that's so dynamic about this show and makes it interesting, it's done live. So we're always very, we're always very amused at some of the interesting things that happen in our new normal. So I'm going to have the ladies introduce themselves and just say a quick hello once again before we delve right into today's discussion. So let me start with you, Faye.
Hello, everyone. My name is Faye, and I'm happy to be here today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tutu, and it's so good to be here with you all.
Hi, everyone. This is Jumoke.
Hi, this is Lola. I missed the detailed introductions last time. I was busy moving a kid into school. So hi, my name is Lola. I'm a wife and a mother, and I'll be 20 years married this year by the grace of God. I'm a public health professional, a family advocate, parenting coach, and I'm passionate about empowering women and children. That's that's what I love to do. And my pet peeve is related to that. I do not like I don't like bullies. I don't like people who try to impose their way and their will on other people. Let's just chill. So that's my thing. It's nice to be here with everyone.
Great, wonderful. And I think we have Tosin who's joined us.
Hi, this is Tosin. How are you?
Very good. It's been a fun morning. Like we were saying before, that's what makes this show fun and makes it real. We're all ready to go, and then all sorts of stuff starts to happen outside of our
know.
So always very interesting. But I know, I'll let Tosin just, carry on some of our conversation we're having today as we all just throw in our 2 cents.
Okay, welcome, ladies. Welcome, everyone. Please bear with us with a few technical difficulties, but we are getting better, and the devil is a liar over this topic. As we all know, we're putting out, fillers about secrets in relationships. Let me mention that this is part 1. So welcome everyone again to MyTake, and we are very glad that you have tuned in to join us on this conversation. We have all introduced ourselves, I believe. So let me just, I don't know if Nika, you touched on, we ladies, we just like to hang out, unwind and chat about different happenings that are, going around in the world, lending our voices and social issues today. Our goal is to promote a culture of love, of compassion, as well as truth and candidness. We like to be honest. We like to be real. So we talked about, this show being Secrets in Relationship. I'll go ahead and I'll start. We all are aware of different situations on popular social blogs, social media. We've heard about different issues that some of us, our jaw just drops when we hear them, Some of these scenarios, they reveal details about what true life people are really going through. And when we read some of these comments, we find out that some people want to take some secrets to the grave, while some people want to be fully transparent, in their relationships. And we want to ask, several questions like, can this, some of these beliefs, can they be healthy in relationships? Please, one of the questions we would like for you to answer is, do you believe there are secrets in a relationship that should be taken to the grave? Please go to pollev.com/FayeB161. We'd like to hear from you. So please do that and we'll announce during the show. Okay, so delving right before I have two scenarios today, and like I told you, this is a two-part series. Okay, we're not going to finish everything, two live scenarios. But before we go into that, we have a couple of questions that I would like to start asking, and I would like the ladies to share their take on several questions. I'll start with Tutu. Yeah, sorry, Jumoke. I'm so sorry. I'll start with Jumoke. Are secrets healthy in a relationship? And can secret help keep the mystery and the intrigue in relationships?
So, are secrets healthy? What does healthy mean? First of all, when you want to answer that question, does it mean to be healthy in a relationship? So, whatever that secret is it going to promote wellness, healthy relationship? The state of the relationship, is it going to be better or is it going to be worse? So before I even answer that question, the purpose of the secret and the impact of the secret we have to discuss first. So there's some secrets that might put you in a better place with your significant other if shared, or you feel better about sharing that secret, and then you feeling better actually makes the relationship better. Now, on the other hand, there's some secrets, I don't know, you best to take that somewhere else, like to the grave, because I don't know, it can break the relationship, especially if it's something that has been discussed before, and then maybe you lied about it. You could lie by omission, or you could just flat out deny, and then now bringing it up. I don't know. Also, why are we bringing up this secret? Like, what is the reason behind it? I always, before I answer that question, about secrets, like, why are we bringing up that secret? Is it to make yourself feel better? Is it that it's going to impact life? Will it save a life? That secret. Like, there's some secrets that we've heard about. Child is sick, needs a transfusion, father is not the supposed father is not the father, things like that. So I think there is no straight answer for that. It depends on what purpose that secret will serve.
That's very interesting.
To add to what Jumoke is
Go ahead,
saying,
Faye.
I mean, I think the idea of what is the reason for the secret is an important one. I mean, I lie more to the side of having transparency in your relationship, because I believe that secrets have a way of showing up at the most inconvenient times. And especially if it's a secret that has an impact on your spouse, then I really believe that it behooves that person to know. If it's something that happened in your past, it's just something, maybe it's something you're ashamed of, it's something that really has no impact on your actual relationship, then okay, But if it's something that really has an impact on your spouse, on your children, I just feel like it's really difficult to hold on to those secrets. One, I mean, somebody like me, it will affect my psyche. I won't be able to really be present. I will be feeling guilty and all of that. And I always have this nagging feeling that one day that secret will come up, and I don't know, is that a way to live? So for me, I think it's really, I mean, that's why I lean more towards the transparency side of things, although I do see why people do keep secrets.
That is very, very interesting. And hearing what is the purpose and what is the reason for the secret is very important to note. And if it's going to impact people, directly related, I get that. All right. I've heard spouses say that the reason they refuse to share most times is because of the other spouse's uncontrolled reaction to past revealed secrets. Is it necessary or needful to share every single secret? Or how possible is it to remember every secret in your past to bring to your spouse? Nika, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, yes, I think so. Good question. I think the way I would, initially respond is any secret that could have an impact on your spouse or your children, I think it's very important to bring to the table. I feel that, one of the fundamental principles of relationship and of a marriage, specifically a marriage, is the concept of, naked and not ashamed. I feel that is very critical. So at some point, those sort of issues need to come in. Now, these are the foundational things, because I feel something important to marriage is trust. Naked and not ashamed is the ability for trust to be built. Now, trust doesn't just happen in one day. Trust has to be built. And experience shows that, almost everyone here, where we've crossed the 10-year mark, the 15-year mark, we're all at different phases. The experiences in marriage has enabled certain more intimate knowledge of each other to occur. So I appreciate the fact that there's a level of trust that people have when they're just starting out in marriage, for example, or in a new relationship, that they feel they should hide certain things. And in some cases, you know how you test, or you just say, what do you think if something like this happens? And you hear someone say, if I hear something like that happen, I will. And the person is like, okay, all right. And then they just, keep quiet. Now, that's not right. But the point I'm trying to make is the lack of maturity at times of one or the other could impact how people feel comfortable sharing those secrets. And at times people rationalize it's not that important. It happened, like you said, it happened so long ago, it couldn't matter. But I think there's certain things that fundamentally are very important. And I think I agree with Faye that could rear its ugly head in the future. So as we go through it, I feel this answer begins to show up in different scenarios. The answer could vary a bit, but fundamentally, marriage is based on trust, and that trust requires intimacy. And like they say, intimacy. So anything that you feel is a secret that someone should not see, I don't think is healthy for the relationship. I don't think is healthy for the marriage on the long run.
How are we defining secrets, first of all? What is considered a secret?
Okay.
I think that's important to kind of define as well, because I may consider something, about myself to be kind of my I don't know, like something from my childhood or something related to other people. Maybe, you'd be like, well, I didn't think it was important for you to know. And then somebody else might feel like, well, you're keeping something from me. I should have known that. So I think too, it's important, couples may define what is a secret differently, maybe. Or families may define it differently, and then that will maybe affect your need to know basis of the thing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, Lola, for example, if I've been married 3 times before and now I meet somebody else, of course it's important for me to divulge that. So I can't just omit and say, oh wait, that happened in my past. It's not important. So that kind of
What if
secret
somebody
will not be healthy to
proposes
keep.
marriage to what if a guy wants to propose marriage to a woman and is actually asked 12 or 15 women to marry and they all said no?
that's not a secret, that's a problem.
Yeah. It's a problem, but it's just a secret if you keep it from your spouse.
Why need to know that? What is it about you that they are revealing that we don't know? Because some people have had shotgun weddings. They're not ready to open up, and they sweep somebody off their feet. They get married. All of these things happen. It's like love at first sight. I've heard from God, and they rush down the aisle. Sometimes, premarital counseling, 7 weeks, 8 weeks doesn't catch everything. So at times, even knowing why some previous relationships, it might not be a secret because we should talk about it. But are there things that could maybe even I think once you feel ashamed of something, embarrassed about something, you think it could be a deal breaker, I think those are signs of what may be a secret and if you feel like that, then you feel if this person knows, that means you feel that information can impact them. Unlike some other information that, when I was younger, I was caught stealing and, they beat me and that's why I have this mark on the back of my back. You may not want to go into that detail. So I feel that's how you start to gauge what is a significant secret to reveal in your relationship.
Yeah.
And then some secrets might not just be personal to you.
Define
Some
secrets.
Can be something, that affects your family. And like you said, it can bring a certain level of shame. So you're not quick to want to share that information, So we have secrets can be very, very layered. And it's not always about that person. Sometimes the fear of sharing information is because it's not just about you. It's about your family. It's about you know, your friends. So it's deep. It can be very deep.
Very true.
Very true. So, Lola, you had mentioned that we should define secrets, right? So, my question to you is, in defining secrets, is it that you define it by yourself or you define it with your spouse? Because what you think is, an insignificant secret can become to your spouse a major situation. So, who defines it? You or both of you?
That's a good question, and the reason why I brought it up is that you encounter different people, right? Different types of people, and there's some people that are more private than others. I'm not a private person. I probably tend to lean into the oversharing thing. So and I believe in transparency as well. But you might have a spouse that is more private, that feels like, this stuff happened before we got married. I don't see it as important. And so if it affects you, I'll let you know, but I don't see it as important. But the other spouse might define it as, you're keeping part of your past from me. You're keeping, secrets from me. So I think that sometimes it's important for the spouses to agree on how they define a secret and how much sharing they think is important or not important. And what also plays into this is, there are different kinds. There's different levels of secrets. There's secrets, small secrets that just affect you. It's not like Jumoke talked about earlier. It's just something like it's a good to know for you. It doesn't really impact your life in any really significant way. To like really huge secrets that is so, one, it affects a lot of people, and two, sharing that secret also takes something away from you. Like you've had that secret embedded in your life, that even sharing it, takes something from you. So there's different levels. I don't think we can group secrets into one. So in addition to agreeing as to what secret means, it's also important to kind of understand what is a big secret and what is like a little secret, if that,
Okay. Thank you so
Wow.
much for explaining that. Okay, so my next question is, in our efforts to understand internal and external turmoil, such as emotional, psychological, I want to ask, can anyone share with us some of the positive and negative effects of keeping secrets in relationship? Are there positives? Are there negatives? What do you guys think?
Tutu, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. So on a positive side, so if you know your spouse, for example, I'll use finance as an example. So both of you are transparent, you believe in transparency, but this spouse, it could be the wife, is a spendthrift. As soon as she knows there's money, she has a project for that money. And the husband is a long-term planner who is already thinking about retirement, about college fund for the kids. So if the husband feels that telling his wife that, I got this huge bonus at work, the money is going to be spent, if he decides instead to put the money in, in an investment or whatever, I think that's a good secret. She may be hurt later on, but I think she'll get over it by the time she sees the positive reward. So maybe when they're in a bind someday, maybe they both lose their jobs or the kids are going off to college, and instead of getting a loan, the guy writes a check and she's wondering, where did this money come from? And it tells her the history. She will eventually get over her hurt. So in that case, I think that's a secret.
Yes, that's it. I actually have an example of a couple that did that. Quickly sharing, the wife decided to buy a house in Nigeria, and she did not inform her husband. And then after it was completed, she now revealed it to the husband, and the husband was very happy. But she felt if she had said it from the beginning, the husband would have not been on board. So she had to keep it a secret for a while and then reveal as a present. And he was very happy about that. So we right now, in interest of time, We are going to I hope you guys are going to the polls. Do you believe that there are secrets in relationship that should be taken to the grave? Pollev.com, FAEB161. All right. So delving into the first scenario, I'm going to read it. A lady got pregnant before she got married to her now husband, and she cheated. She got pregnant during the cheating while they were engaged to be married. She confessed to him, and he forgave her and married her. They both agreed not to inform the child that he was not the father. Now the child is a young adult. Do you believe that they both did what was in the best interest of the child? Should they share the secret, or should they continue to, should they keep it?
Sure. First, I must applaud this man. I mean, there are very few men like him. I applaud the lady for being open, and I even applaud the man more for forgiving her. And for the decision they both made. Again, first, I also believe in full disclosure, but with exceptions. So in this case, the man forgave her and accepted to father the child. So since it was a joint agreement between both of them, personally, I feel that in the best interest of the child, they should not say anything to the child, at least while he's growing up. Because if they do, I mean, if the father maybe scolds the child or does something that he would have done to any of his other children, the child may feel that, oh, maybe it's because he's not my father. I mean, even with our own natural parents, there are some ways our parents scold us that we thought when we were growing up that they weren't our parents. So imagine if we even had an inkling that for real they weren't our parents. So I feel it was right for both of them not to say anything to him. But when the child becomes an adult, maybe after college or, before he gets married, they decide to tell him, that's fine. I mean, he has a right to know. At least at that point, the parents can, both stand their ground that in their best judgment, they felt this was how, they were going to raise him without him knowing. So two things can happen. The child may be grateful or the child may be resentful. But at that point, whatever happens, the parents will be able to stand together that they made this decision in his best interest. So I feel that if they must divulge, they should wait until the child is an adult, but don't tell him he's still growing up.
Is that the best interest? I struggle to see how that can be in the best interest of a child. After college or before marriage, just because two of them feel good about that decision, to me, especially, and I get your point from grateful or resentful, but the impact of resentful, have they thought about what resentful could be? So I'm happy for two of you to be glad that you kept this away from the child, but you may never see your grandchildren again if that child suddenly, you may,
exactly.
You may not be invited to the wedding. So I feel that resentful part is a big part that should make them pause, because, at what point, and I think from what you're saying, Tutu, I agree with it up to a certain extent. At some point, you protect a child to a particular stage. But for me, I feel if that was the scenario, I commend the man for standing with the woman in whatever situation. But I really do feel that the child is a third entity that they are responsible to. And at a particular stage, that child should be told. I would think, personally, I think before the child either turns 18 or thereabout, around that period of time, because I feel that, we don't know the whole story behind it, but I just feel the child has a right to know that this is not their biological father.
Okay, before we go on, I want us to take some of the social media comments. Nika, could you flash? Because Kachi O said, I disagree. So Faye, you could go ahead.
Yeah, so I vehemently disagree with Tutu's position for several reasons. First of all, the child needs to know who their parents are. If it will come, this is one of those secrets that it is only a matter of time that it will come out. whether it's because of medical issues or the father will decide that they're going to show up, it will happen. And I think the earlier the child knows, the better. Actually, when you learn things when you're young, it's just normal. Like if a child is 2, 3, 4, or 5, I mean, I know of children whose parents get divorced and they're with another. They know that the father is not theirs, but they end up being so close because that's the father that they knew. And there's no way that child will not be grateful to the second father eventually, because they know that, look, this man chose me and I've known it forever, as opposed to making it some big secret, some big reveal. I feel like even before college is the worst. You're already stressed about going to college. Then you tell the person. I mean, that's like you are really trying to destroy that child, in my opinion. I can't even. I mean, so for and then as an adult, it messes I think it's something that will mess with your head to think that your parent. I think the issue is more your parents were lying to you all these years, as opposed to the person is not your father. If the person was not your father, you knew from time, you will be used to it. It will be something you know, and the person will be your father anyway. You will just know that, okay, biologically. And I mean, I have family members that they've known forever that the father is not theirs, but that's their father because that is the person who raised them. So I feel like there's an element of shame or some kind of embarrassment that makes people not reveal these things earlier on, and the person who gets hurt is the child.
Okay, I just want to read what Debola Adeosho said. Tricky, they can both lovingly explain to the child, and it may not even make a difference. That's the parent he's always known. Okay, and also Olumide Ayola says, tell around the 18-year-old age of the child. Waiting later will just make it worse and compound the relationship dynamics between the three individuals. So we just want to quickly read some of the social media. Thank you all for commenting. So we will go into, should we go into our next scenario? Or
I wanted to say something about timing. I think that adolescence is the worst time to tell any child any secret of such nature. Because when you're a teenage years is when you're just even with two parents that are biologically yours, teenage years are like the most tumultuous years of a young adult's life. You're trying to figure out yourself. Your parents are no longer your go-to people. It's your friends that are go-to people. You're trying to discover who you are. I feel like it's either you tell them as a child, when they still think you're the world and they still rely on you for everything, and you can kind of control how they feel about you to an extent, or you tell them as an adult, but not like, I would even add preteens to that. Like, they're trying to figure out their life. Don't complicate what is already a complicated period in their lives. So I feel like timing matters in these kind of things. Like, either they've always known, you tell them as a child, or as an adult when they can kind of get where you're coming from, adults to adults. That's just me, and just working with teenagers.
I think that's a very good point. What would we classify as ideally, I mean, as a child? So we're looking at by the time maybe the child turns 12, at least, or even between 10 and 12, or to Tutu's point, wait till after the child is done from college, they've dealt with that, they've gotten their degree, they're not going to fall out of school because of your announcement. So we're looking at roughly around 22 or 23. Let's make it practical, when we really
I promise you. I think when they're young
is the best from the beginning. So I mean, there's no good time to tell someone you're not their parent. Let's first establish that one. There's just no good time.
Less than 10-year-old child that you're not their parent.
You can't say you're not their parent. You are their parent. You are just not their biological parent. It happens all over the world every day. I am your father, or I am your mother. I'm just not your biological mother. You have a mother or a father who gave birth to you. I think I think we're not giving the children enough credit. This happens every day in the whole world, and we know many well-adjusted people.
Let me share a particular case similar in terms of the husband and the wife had a baby. They decided to send the child to Nigeria while they continued their schooling. Now they are both the parents. They sent the child to be raised by another family member. Till today, till today, because the parents ended up having 2 other children in America. Till today, this child is still resentful. Now, imagine you keeping such a big secret that you're not the father. Like Tutu said, it could go both ways, but most of the time, the stories I've heard, it goes the sour way, and it's not, really nice. So I think I caught Lola. Oh, Lola was about to say, oh, Jumoke, go ahead.
I have a question. I was thinking that scenario, the first scenario that was presented. In that case, I'm even wondering what secret is the man, the husband himself, hiding? Because the woman got pregnant, you decided to marry her. Kudos to you. But why compound this thing again with another secret? Like I don't get it. Like, okay, if you guys want to keep a secret with each other, that's fine. You don't want the whole world to know. Then you now just make up this secret out of fear. It's always based on fear anyway. You now raise this child to believe that that's his father. I mean, like Faye said, that's his father, but you never reveal to this child why. And then for the father for both of them to keep the secret away from the child, that means the biological father, you have another secret because he doesn't know, because obviously he doesn't even know this child exists. So that's another secret, away from him, the biological father and his own family. So we are just making this thing worse. I don't think it helps, really. I mean, what are we afraid of?
Pastor Shill said something. Pastor Shill said something which I just said, whoa. From personal experience, it can go either way. A person I know was lovingly raised by his mom, and one day at 16, he stumbled on his birth certificate and discovered his loving mom was not his mom.
They will find out. That's what I'm telling you. If I was adopted, I can promise you I will have found out before 18, for sure. I was always in my parents' business. I looked for my birth certificate one day when I was very angry with my mother. And I said, is this woman really my mother? I would have found out. That's why I cannot, this secret.
But I have a question though. What if they reveal to the child and then the child continues to insist that he wants to know who his real who his real dad is? What do you do?
Right. The child has a right to know that.
It does, but at that time, I mean, the woman at that point didn't go back to tell the guy that impregnated her. So
exactly, keeping another secret.
I feel that they would have been able to manage it better when he's an adult, because then he can go look for his parents. But as a child, this child continues to insist that he wants to at least know who his real father is. It can even.
But that's the cross that the woman has to bear now for doing that. I mean, so you have to be inconvenienced in a way. You put the child in an inconvenient situation. So, you are inconvenienced. It's not going to be easy, but it's something that you have to do. Or you tell the child no. I mean, if you think it's not in their interest. I mean, but I don't know. It's dicey.
Yeah. And you realize that the longer you delay telling this child, it's not like, I think Jumoke mentioned it, it's now no longer about the secret. It's now secret and lies. Yes. And so it's like you're compounding the sin. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna, and then how do you know? Why deny the child of a relationship they could have had with the parents? They might, they might not be the ones who raised them, but they could have still had. I mean, there's so many. This is one of those secrets that I said is a big one that has so many dimensions. So many people are affected, and we should look. A lot of times we need to look beyond ourselves and how these things impact us, and put ourselves in the shoes of the child, and say, as a child, if I was in that shoe, would I want to know? Every child wants to know where they come from. Every child, whether it's good, whether it's bad. And when you tell them as a child, they have the opportunity to grow, and you have an opportunity to show them love beyond, so that they don't doubt your love. Versus in retrospect.
If I can just quickly jump in, I just remember the scenario that I actually saw on a paternity court, a real life scenario on the show, where a father approached a woman. Now, this is a woman probably in her 30s, to disclose himself as her biological father, and she refused to accept it. And they went on this show, and it was proven to be the father, and she broke down, she cried. But the story behind it is Her mother got pregnant for him when they were all young and very irresponsible. But her mother met another man that she fell in love with, and the man wanted to marry her and raise her up as their children. And they moved away from there. So the mother never told the father. The father suspected, I guess, the real father. But long story short, the family agreed he was not a good man back then. He wasn't going to be good for her. So this man took her away. They went to another city and another town. Years later, they died. Both of them died in a car accident. Wow. And she was so close to her father, so close to him, that when this man showed up, she struggled because for years she never knew. So she found out that who she thought was her father was not her father until they had died. And so, it was a very emotional experience, but her emotions were thrown all over the place as well. So I just wanted to add that I understand perfectly where Tutu is coming from, and I know some ages have been put out there on the polls, but even as adults, the reaction may be less than stellar, and it could then leave thoughts as to wild extremes. I see some realistic some stories that's in the chat where people feel everything I know is a lie. Everything about you. So the resentful part could then have longer repercussions with how you relate with that child and that child's family going on. And that child can then become, I don't know if I can trust anybody. I don't know if I can do this. So I think it is very difficult, but I like what Faye said, that when you do need to say this, you have to remind the child, I am your parent. I may not be the biological one, and be ready to be inconvenienced every time that child makes a demand around that, because you made a choice in life, and that's part of the inconvenience that comes with it. But I guess the ultimate point it is making is the sensitivity of being there for the child, comforting them is also key as well. But I think we've talked about that, and we have some points.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. And just to round this one off, I just wanted to give a little more. If you're seeing Pastor shows, he said the biological mom died at birth and her father married again, and his new wife raised him and loved him probably more than her own children. His discovery changed things and ruined the relationship. The 16-year-old is now 60 and still has not recovered from it. So we have to be very careful when we define, put the purpose of why we're sharing a secret and, the impact on others, putting ourselves, like Lola said, in the place of the person, of the child that's hurt. We need to weigh these options and not just think about how we can hide or keep lies. So we need to consider this. Before we go to the next scenario, I want us to see the poll results. Please, Nikki, can you share? Wow. That is deafening. Okay. 67% believe that, yes, you do believe that there are some secrets in relationships that should be taken to the grave. And, as we've all shared, we've all said what is the purpose and all of that. We've clarified a lot of things. So I do understand where a lot of you are coming from in terms of there's some secrets that might, break, ruin some foundations. And I get that. So thank you all so much for responding. We're going to go into our very next scenario in the interest of time, and I'll read it. This next scenario has to do with a woman who has aborted quite a few times prior to marriage. She was never asked by her fiance, and she never volunteered to share the information. Must she disclose this bit of information to her fiance, or should she take it to the secret she can take to the grave or not? Who would like to discuss that?
Why are we disclosing? Okay, so I'll look at it this way. If it's the woman that is married, we don't have ages for these people, okay? So let's say it's an older, mature couple, like both of them, they have adult children or whatnot. Why are we disclosing this now? I mean, it's not relevant. Now, if a couple is struggling to have children, and maybe there was a complication from the abortions that she's had, then it's important to disclose. Okay. So now, while dating someone, I mean, people will usually have a feel for that person, what kind of things they believe in, what they can take, what they can't take. So I think this question is important because even if we don't have direct answers to them, I think it gets us thinking, especially for those that are new in relationships or they're dating or whatnot. These are things to consider because being at ease to communicate certain things with your partner is very, very important because things will happen. Things have happened before I met you. Things will happen after we've met. And being able to be at ease to communicate and disclose and not be afraid is very, very important. So
Right.
I think whether she discloses or not is based on the circumstances. What are their goals as a couple? If it's going to impact something that they desire in the relationship, I would say you should have disclosed it. Not now, like when the problem has, really, really been magnified. Because at that point, I'm thinking, why are you disclosing it now if there's an issue, this secret has affected and created and presented the relationship? Why are you disclosing it now? Why didn't you disclose it before? So I think a lot of people, make they will base their decision on whether to disclose a secret or not for selfish reasons. So once again, why are we disclosing this?
So, Jumoke, is it possible that she had a bad past, especially maybe let's look at an average even student on campus, dated the love of her life kind of thing, ended up having, going through that unfortunate scenario of getting pregnant, and they kept pushing it. And now, before she knows it, she's done this 3-4 times. She's now changed. All things are passed away, all things are become new. And she believes that in Jesus' name, when I get married, within 9 months, we'll come and do naming ceremony. So she doesn't say a word. She doesn't disclose. So to your point, sometimes people, maybe she didn't feel the need to disclose because she felt this is going to be a new beginning for her. Things will change. Then she starts to wonder, a couple of years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. And then what I think happens might be guilt that maybe it is me. And, at times when I counsel people, the sort of thoughts, and then sometimes they start to hear the thoughts that, the devil is the one that is holding it down. Unless you disclose it now, you won't be free. It's because of your past mistake. So that turmoil that they go through sometimes is what makes them now say, okay, this happened. And they probably thought it was in their past. They didn't need to talk about it, but now they feel it's affecting them. They are married. So I completely hear where you're coming from. And sometimes these are the thinking that people have. So to your point, the question is, should this even be something that ideally you should say to yourself, does this person have the right to know? And you tell them when you are in a safe part of your relationship that everybody has a past and this is my past. And if you cannot accept me for my past and you're going to judge me, maybe I shouldn't be getting married to you. I don't know if it's a difficult thing, but maybe those are kind of conversations that people, that's what I'm thinking. But, there's this fear. And my concern is, and I'm going to broaden this, are people, even when we enter relationships, I just feel sometimes men and women are not even mature. They have all these rose-colored glasses, and they haven't learned to accept people with their past, and that's why people feel they have to hide it and have secrets around it.
Right. Even have you been with someone where maybe something is happening, you're watching something on TV or you're hearing a story, and then you pay attention to how that person is reacting. So if that person is someone you're dating or your spouse, and you're talking about maybe a scenario such as this, and the reaction of that person is just explosive or you don't even quite understand it, it could either encourage you to come forth with your own secret or decide you're taking that to the grave. So sometimes I think it's also the way we deal with how we respond to somebody telling us something that might be shocking, a secret, that would tell whether your spouse or your significant other will come to you with a secret or feel at ease to share that with you.
So I feel that this is one of the bad secrets. So if it's before marriage, this is definitely a secret you should share. Now, if the person cannot handle it, then it's best we end the relationship now than get into marriage. So share it now. And the flip side, we've heard of scenarios where some men, they knew before they got married that they can't, satisfy a woman sexually. But go ahead and get married. And this usually affects, most of the time, maybe very committed Christians or Muslims or women that believe in abstinence. So they meet this man who is committed to abstinence just as they are, and they are comfortable. They get married, and they now find out afterwards that the man can't satisfy them sexually. He can't even, he has maybe erectile dysfunction or something, or maybe had an accident. There was a story I read on Facebook, I think a year or two ago, about a man who had an accident, and he knew, because he had issues, and he knew at the time that he could never satisfy a woman, and he married this church girl and never told her anything. When the girl finally left him years later, I mean, he was upset and all of that, but this was something he should have divulged. So this is not a case of I'm believing God has healed me. No, that is fraud. You should disclose it before marriage and let the person decide.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Full disclosure before marriage. Like, give the person the opportunity to know what they're coming into and make that choice. If you've had STDs before, let me know. If you had HIV, let me know. Like, if you let me be, let me make the choice to be with you, and I know what I'm going into. Don't tell me after the fact. Because if you're telling me after the fact,
didn't tell you? What if the person didn't tell you before, and you're now in that situation?
Yeah, like I just read something recently about a lady who got, this was also on social media, a lady who got married and found out after the fact that the husband has mental illness, right? I don't know if it was bipolar or something. It wasn't so much that the person had mental illness, serious mental illness, is that everybody else knew but her. The family knew and now she's dealing with like issues that she wasn't prepared for. She didn't know she would have to deal with, which, sometimes you have to deal with those things. But the issue here was the parents knew, everybody was hush hush about it. They quickly handed the person over for her to deal with it. And when she called the husband's parents and said, this guy is suicidal, he's this, he's that, I don't know how to deal with it. They're like, yeah, he's your problem now. Like, they knew, they kept it from her deliberately, and she found out after marriage. Would she have still married him if she knew before? Probably yes, because he probably has a lot more, but then they would have jointly come up with a plan to work through that together. Like, for me, it's the deceit that is the most, pressing issue there.
Thank you, guys. In the interest of time, I want us to just quickly flash some of the social media comments, because there's a ongoing discussion that we need to show. So while Nika is showing that for us, I just wanted to piggyback on what you guys are saying concerning this topic, that this is not one of those things that you take to the grave. You have to disclose because it's going to affect the other person. Just like Tutu shared about, some men that, can't function properly, knowing fully well that would come up, like, it's not a matter of I'm believing in God. Let's see, okay, Pastor Show said a couple of things, was telling us about a situation. So I just wanted us to know that this topic it's very important, in what you guys are sharing. In the interest of time, we have to bring this to close, unless you guys have last minute things that you want to share.
I think
from my side, okay.
No, Faye, please.
No, I had a personal experience that somebody I knew got married to a man who ended up being completely impotent, and she was, they hadn't slept together, so she didn't know. I think this idea of going into a relationship that's supposed to be till death do us part and keeping such huge secrets is a recipe for disaster. I mean, you might as well just be, signing the divorce papers as you're signing the marriage papers. I think we need to be very careful, and this is really especially for those who are already married. Just because you carry a big secret into marriage and you trap the person doesn't mean that the person has to take it. I mean, we're talking from a Christian perspective, but there are many Christian marriages that have been destroyed because of secrets. So, and God knows the secret. So who are you hiding it from exactly? So I think we really need to be very cautious about these type of secrets that you take into marriage. A secret that really significantly impacts your spouse, then you're being deceitful, and it's really the least Christian thing you can do to someone.
In fact,
So that's
in cases where the couple haven't consummated their marriage, especially for the Christian sisters who feel, oh, but we are married now. Please, in the eye of the law, there's no marriage. There's no marriage between you people. So you can please walk out of that bondage, because that's not a relationship. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused though. What was the? I didn't get that scenario. You said for
No,
couples who,
you know,
she said for couples that have not consummated. Only
maybe found out after they got married that maybe the husband, for example, has a dysfunction, so they've not consummated the marriage. So that because it's not been consummated and it was based on deceit, then they can still walk out. Right. You know,
okay. Sorry, Leila said, what a wahoo. I'm with you, Leila. What a wahoo concerning every topic that we're sharing. I before we round up, I want us to touch on the media, social media videos we're watching, and the news about the pastor that killed his wife. That just touched a very soft spot in our hearts, concerning the lady. There were secrets, probably she knew, maybe she saw some things, and they kept secrets. And even in the video of her brother trying to defend her, she wanted to minimize the threat of the husband in front of the brother, and the brother was like, we have to call the police and report this so that we can have it on record. But the woman kept saying, no, now we know what the outcome is. So sometimes when we are trying to keep some secrets, we have to be very careful, and we have to weigh out. And I just want to touch on a couple of things that we have discussed. What is the reason? What is the purpose? Like Jumoke mentioned. Lola said, direct impact. If it's going to directly impact your loved one, it has to be shared. Nika talked about, trust and intimacy. So as we go on the journey of our marriage and relationships, we need to be honest. We need to, build trust. We need to come to a place of openness and, make sure that we're not dealing with lack of immaturity. We need to become mature, in all of this. And also, Lola also mentioned defining secrets. We define it together. Both of us come. What would affect you that I've not shared with you? What would you like to know? In openness and discussions, these are things that we all need to talk about. That's how relationships get stronger. And that's how relationships, get, build strengths and build legs. One thing I wanted to say as we close the show is there are two scriptures that I would love to leave you with. And the first one comes from Psalm 11:3, which says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? We need to make sure that we are strengthening the foundation of our relationships, the foundations of our marriages. It's very, very important. So when any secret is shared, our foundation will be solid enough to stand and weather the storms of whatever the secret may be. And all spouse to be very sensitive when people share secrets, so that we're not insensitive basically, and they are regretting sharing such secrets. We also have to strive to daily build and protect, like I said, the foundations of our relationships. Second, Amos 3:3, can two work together unless they agree? In our efforts to strengthen, we have to come up to a place of mutual agreement. I can't be dealing with someone that is living two double-faced lives. You have this secret life over here, and I'm over here thinking that this is who you are. We have to be transparent. We have to come. I understand that some secrets have their timeline in when you share it, but we also have to understand that we need to work together. So I just want to thank you all. Is there anything that my ladies would like to say before we close?
Absolutely. And I think, Tosi, honestly, you some of the things you've said, absolutely spot on. They're comments, and I thank you so much. Everybody has been, it's been a great interactive session. The one thing I just wanted to add, was that, you said something big, that this is like part one, because the truth of the matter is that, we still need to address, a couple of things that come up, which, we can bring an angle and to be interesting of the sort of counsel that is out there. I think part of the challenges that people also are having, and I think we really have to address this issue of the kind of counsel people get, either from, family, from church ministers, from, their religious, maybe not even church, from, whatever religion they belong to, and really being able to sift through those, So I think that's very interesting. I saw a question about, infidelity in marriage. When do you tell? Do you have to tell? Could, I've heard someone say, God forbid, if my husband had a one night stand, I don't want him to tell me if it was a one night mistake, because I believe, some people feel that way because they feel that their spouse loves them, they have a safe, loving relationship. But if he makes the mistake, they're going to believe that God will touch their hearts, but they cannot deal with it. So, and there's the responsibility of, like you said, I think we are custodians. We should be custodians of our partners' vulnerabilities, custodians of their secrets. So when they tell us, the way we handle it is critical. So I think, the things you said, Tosi, about the foundation is so important that it takes maturity, like somebody that we all know says, marriage is not for, what's the way they say?
Small children.
No, it's not for
reasonable people. Marriage is for reasonable people. So I think that was really awesome. And so I'm personally looking forward to. I know we have to delve deeper. There are some serious secrets that we still need to address.
So, before we round up, some of the questions Pastor Show said, if you had a sex change, do you have to tell? And then Olumide said, if life is involved, if life is at stake, you need to share. So next week we will continue on this topic. We couldn't unpack everything, so we have more questions next week, and we just want to appreciate all of you for joining us today as we shared. Thank you for dealing with our technical difficulties. Thank you for dealing with us. We love you, and we want to appreciate you. Ladies, can we say bye?
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.